Modernization of Russia under Joseph Stalin. Introduction to Joseph Stalin. Joseph Stalin was born in 1878 in Georgia, rose from humble origins to become the supreme leader of the Soviet Union, a committed revolutionary and close associate of Vladimir Lenin. Stalin skillfully outmatched his rivals after Lenin's death in 1924 and consolidated power by the late 1920s. Stalin believed that socialism could survive only if the Soviet Union became economically and militarily strong. His leadership marked a decisive shift toward rapid modernization enforced through strict state control and logical discipline. Russia on the eve of Stalin's rule. At the time of Stalin came to power, Russia was predominantly an agrarian country. The majority of the population lived in the rural areas using outdated farming methods, while industrial development remained limited. Compared to Western nations, the Soviet Union lagged far behind in technology, productivity, and infrastructure. Stalin viewed this backwardness as a serious danger and argued that the country must modernize quickly or risks becoming dominated by hostile capital powers. This urgency became the driving force behind his modernization policies. End of the new economic policy. Stalin rejected Lenin's new economic policy, which allowed limited private enterprises, believing it showed the transition to socialism. In its place, he introduced centralized economic planning through the 5-year plans beginning in 1928. These plans aimed to transform the Soviet economy by prioritizing heavy industries such as steel, coal, oil, machineries, and electricity. All economic decisions were placed under strict control, and production targets were fixed with little concern for human cost. The 5-year plans and industrial growth. The impact of 5-year plans was dramatic. Massive factories, hydroelectric dams, railways, and industrial towns were built as an unprecedented pace. Cities like Magnitogorsk become symbols of Soviet industrial ambition. Industrial output rose sharply, and within a decade, the Soviet Union emerged as one of the world's leading industrial powers. This industrial base later proved crucial during Second World War. However, workers faced extreme discipline, long working hours, poor living conditions, and harsh punishment for failing to meet targets. Collectivization of agriculture. Agricultural modernization was pursued through policy of collectivization. Private farms were abolished and merged into collective and state-owned farms. Stalin believed collectivization would increase food production, allow the state to control, gain, supply, and finance industrial growth. Whether peasants, known as kulkals, were labeled enemies of socialism and were subjected to arrest, exile, or execution. The policy was implemented with great force, creating widespread resistance among peasants. Famine and human cost. Collectivization resulted in human suffering. Agricultural production declined sharply. The large-scale famine struck part of Soviet Union between 1932 and 1933, particularly in Ukraine. Millions of people died due to starvation and disease. Despite this target consequences, the state gained full control over agriculture and food distribution, which helped sustain urban industrial centers and strengthen governmental authority over rural areas. Social and educational reforms. Modernization under Stalin also involved major social and educational changes. Literacy campaigns expanded across the country, and education became compulsory with a strong emphasis on science, technology, and engineering. New institutions trained skilled workers and engineers needed for industrial growth. Women were encouraged to enter factories and technical professions, increasing their participation in public life. Healthcare services were expanded under state supervision, contribution to improvement in urban public health. Political representation of great per political representation of was an integral part of Stalin's modernization strategy. The Communist Party exercised total control over political life and dissent was treated as treason. During the Great Purge of late 1930s, millions of people were arrested. Imprisoned were labeled camps known as gulags were or executed. Fear and surveillance became tools to enforce offensive and ensure the smooth implementation of state policies. Conclusion. Achievement and legacy. By the time of Stalin's death in 1953, the Soviet Union had been fundamentally transformed. It had become a powerful industrial and military state capable of competing with the world's major power. At this transformation came an immense human cost marked by famine, repression, and huge loss of individual freedom. The modernization of Russia under Joseph Stalin remained one of the most complex and controversial chapters in modern history, reflecting both remarkable achievements and profound human tragedy.